Okay, I am back right now. I believe it's July 24th. It's about actually the 25th now. Okay, so yeah, I decided to go ahead and do a little bit more tonight because, you know, I'm just ready to get this stuff out there. It's gonna sound kind of crazy a little bit, you know, especially if you haven't listened to the About Me videos. But yeah, this is what happened, you know. I had gotten high that last time in, well, let's say last time, but in Fort Worth I had gotten high. And it was interesting because I remember saying to my friend, you know, when I was coming down from that, I was like, you know, this is full circle, because it was exactly 1 year to the day, because it was it was Labor Day weekend the next year in 2015. I was like, okay, well, it's full circle. You know, I'm ready to get cleaned up. I'm ready to, you know, make some changes. You know, I was ready for, you know, some good stuff to to start happening. Excuse me. Yeah, so I thought that was really, really interesting that it had been exactly a year since that first time I had done it, and, you know, and then I was, you know, doing it for the last time. It was supposed to be the last time. Yeah, so I had come, you know, had come down, and you know, I was still doing, you know, doing the Bible study. It was an online thing that I had found, and I was doing that. And I guess my friend had just had enough with me, you know, trying to do the, you know, the whole Bible discussion. You know, and as you can see, you know, that's how I was raised, was religious, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I was, you know, I knew something was going on. In that book that I was trying to think of earlier was Behold a Pale Horse. So yeah, I didn't read the whole thing. I just read like little bits and pieces of it, but I was just kind of like, what the hell, you know, it scared me. But yeah, so I asked my friend on this day, and you know, it was really weird because I had messed up my contacts, and I didn't have any other contacts. I'd had to go take an exam, and I couldn't see. I mean, my vision is horrible, so everything was blurred. I mean, you know, through these, it was like over a week that I couldn't see anything, and it was just like it kind of put me in the whole, like, feeling like I was in a whole different world already, because I mean, everything was just blurred together. So my friend, I had a friend that was on their way to come and take me and do an eye exam on this day, because I couldn't, and I was like, please help me. You know, if you could bring me some meth, and then, you know, and some needles, then, you know, can you please take me to go get, you know, to get this eye exam? So that's what was happening. So I was like, hey, you know, let's read this verse together. And he was just like, no. He got really angry and went inside his room and grabbed, it was actually his grandmother's house, but there was this, it was a crucifix on the wall, and he grabbed it and came back out, and I was still sitting there like reading, and he's like chunked it towards me, and it didn't hit me, but it landed like next to me, and he's like, fuck your Bible. And I'm like, okay, what the hell? And then I started looking, and this crucifix opened up, and it wasn't a crucifix, it was an exorcism kit. So I was like, dude, you just chunked an exorcism kit at me and said, F your Bible. And I was like, wow, that can't be good. But you know, this thing, I mean, it was the real deal. I mean, it had little instructions that were just really old and crinkly and falling apart, and it had a little vial of what it used to be holy water, and 2 little candles, and it was kind of creepy. I mean, it was like, wow, oh my gosh, this thing is real. And they didn't even know that, I guess, that it opened up like that. I was like, wow, holy cow. So that was, right before my eye exam. But I was so upset, because I had been reaching out and pushing people away, not trying to, but I was reaching out for help, and I felt like, I didn't really have help. So I went and I got this email address for this Bible study class, and I emailed a prayer request. I said I was in the bathroom, and I was very shaky. I was crying my eyes out, and I was like, I have been on drugs. I want to get clean. I'm at my wit's end. Problems with my daughter, and I just laid it all out there. I'm like, please help me. What can you do? And I ended up getting a message back, and this is all while I'm waiting on my friend to pick me up for this eye exam. So this man emailed me back and said, I'd like to help you. What is your phone number, and I can have someone local get in contact with you. And I gave my number, and then I didn't really think much else about it. But I went to do this eye exam, because he showed up right whenever I was finishing, giving my number. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go do this. I'm ready to be able to see again. Just want to make sure I get it all in order here, because this gets weird. We actually got lost on the way. Well, not really lost, but we missed our exit, and something happened where the place I was gonna go was closed, and we ended up going here and there, and I was just kind of like, where the hell are we going? And I was starting to get kind of like, I couldn't see anything still. So we ended up, it took like an hour to get there, and we walked in, and it was just like a weird feeling the whole time. It was just something was different. And I got this phone call. My phone rang, and it was like, it was this weird sounds at first, and then I was like, hello, and this lady said something. She was with some some home security company, and asking me if I wanted to secure my home. And I was like, well, I don't have a home, and it was just an odd, a weird number, and then the weird noise, and home security, well, let us help you. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a home. And I think I ended up, the phone call got disconnected somehow. I think they hung up or something. But I'm like, okay, so I went in to get this eye exam. Well, it's hard. This gets hard to kind of explain to somebody that doesn't really know anything about it. But if you've had any kind of experience with the label schizophrenia, or just where like you smoke a little too much pot, and then everything's like opened up, and it's like, you're just kind of in this weird other world kind of seeming. But yeah, I was in there, and I was listening to the people talking in there, especially when the lady was next, in front of me and next to me, putting shit on the computer, and she was talking to me and my friend and the other people, and it was almost like she was like meaning something else other than what she was saying. And that's a very difficult thing to explain. It was like my higher self was in contact with her higher self, and they were communicating, but that was, this was just under the surface here. Like, it was like everything meant something else, and I had never felt that before. I was like, And I kind of figured, oh, well, it's just because I can't see, and I felt so disoriented because I had no sight for like a week, and so that must be it. So I'm like, okay, this just feels really awkward. And I was like, what are you typing in there? And what do you it was not that I was really paranoid, but I was just kind of like, I wanted to get out of there. It was really uncomfortable. I was like, I've got to go. But I finally, I got my trial pair, and I started to be, I finally saw people's faces, because they were just blurs talking, and it was just really awkward. But I finally got the contacts, and I was like, oh, good, thank goodness that's over, and I kind of felt a little bit normal again. Whew. Yeah, the awkward eye exam. Okay, yeah, so that's my first page. Okay, and then later on, I was sitting there, and I was sober. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing anything like that, and I'd been sober for a few days, for a while, and it was weird. I got this text message. It was a group text asking, if I wanted to join them for choir practice. I don't know who them was. I don't know who this person was, but I was like, I thought about it for a second. I'm like, whatever, and I said yes, and yeah, I said yes on the choir practice, and I thought that maybe that the pastor or whatever it is from this online church had given them my number, and I was like, maybe I'll just try something different. I'll do some choir. I can't sing, but I'll just try some choir. That'll help me get out of this funk, and I want to get clean, and I'll meet some new people. So that's why, and I said yes to that for, and and then later on, that evening, this was all on the same day, the weather got really bad, and I remember I was still angry. I was angry with my daughter, about the way things had been left. I was angry with my mom. And I saw that there was flooding in the town where they live, where I live now, and I had this thought, and it was just, I don't even know if it was my thought, at this point, but I just imagined a big flood, and the house, and this is the weirdest thing, because there's just this thought just flashed into my head of the house kind of floating away in a flood, and I was like, damn, I must be really mad. I was really upset, but I had that thought, and I was like, dang, that's weird. And then I'm not sure exactly how much longer how much time had passed from then to my me starting to panic, but it might have been like an hour or so, but I had thought about that instant when I thought about the flood, and I felt like I had caused a flood, and I thought my daughter was dead because of what I thought, that I did that and she was gone, and I was like, you did it now, and that this was this thing that came over me, like, okay, and I started panicking, like I couldn't breathe, and I was just like, when you get bad news or whatever, because I really thought that she was gone. I just had this overwhelming feeling. Okay, that's I don't know how else to describe it, but they were both, both friends were like, okay, calm down, just breathe, had to put their hand on my back, and I was like, I was freaking out, like having a panic attack almost, and I was just kind of had to put my hands down like this and breathe, and and then for some weird reason their TV was like right in front of us, and TMZ was on, and the guys were, you know, how they sit there and they talk in the chairs and they're talking back and forth. I thought they were talking about me. And I, you know, and this was just like snap, okay, boom, you know, this is what's happening now. I thought that it was backwards and that they could see me through. And some of this stuff, you know, I've actually, you know, which is weird, is it was really strange to me to have these thoughts in my head. Like, why are these thoughts there? Like, they were foreign. They weren't my thoughts, but they were still in my head. And I was like, what the crap, you know, what is this? But, you know, and some of it can actually, like, later on, like, it can be explained through this or that, like through a song or through a movie or through, you know, a book or through something, some other thing that actually proves. Now, I can't prove any of this stuff to actual, you know, scientific proof to somebody. Somebody, you know, if they ask me, well, can you prove what you're saying? No, I can't, not to you, but it proves it to me. So, you know, because I did learn later on, you know, and I'm just going to say this one example, that people can watch you through your TV. You know, I didn't think anything about that before this incident, you know, oh, they're watching you through, you know, I thought maybe the, you know, the camera or whatever, but, you know, but for some reason I was like, okay, these guys are talking about me. They know I've just lost a child and they're talking about me. They feel bad for me. You know, and I was just like, I was the one on TV and they were the ones sitting at home watching. It was like everything had just flipped. You know, everything just was backwards now, and I was just in the midst of this shitstorm in my head. And so I was actually standing in front, and I have never acted like this before, but I was standing in front of the TV, like right in front of it, like closer than this, and I was like... hey, you know, like, hey, yeah, I don't remember what I was saying. I thought that they could see me, and then they were talking about some plane crash on there, and then all of a sudden, I thought Callista was on that plane, and she had crashed in that plane, and that's what they were talking about, and they were talking somehow, and I don't know, like, maybe I, again, thought their words meant something else that they didn't even maybe know, and then so did mine, you know, so something was connected that was bigger than us, bigger than me, you know. That's how I kind of perceive that, because that's just craziness. Really, it was at the time, and especially thinking back on it now, I was like, wow, I can't really believe I did some of those things, but that's just the beginning. This is getting a little long, but this is going to be a lot of information, and you know, this is what happened to me. So yeah, and my memory actually gets a little fuzzy, but at this point, because this went on for 8 days, and it started, you know, storming, you know, and this is still the same first day, and I went outside to look at the clouds, and I look up in all 4 directions, and there was symbols in the clouds, glyphs. I can't tell you what they were, but I just looked up and I looked all around, and I was like, what the hell? Like, and I thought it was some kind of, it was like I felt a presence other than me. Like, I felt like there was something else there communicating, and I could see. I was like, I definitely don't think anybody else saw what I saw, but I was like, did y'all see that? You see that, right? But no, I don't think they saw it. And then a little later on that night, I'm back in my friend's garage, and you know, it's set up like a den, like a living room, the couches and the TV and everything. So it was pretty nice in there, but I was messing with my cell phone, and I remember I took it was so clear, because I took the charger out of my phone, and the damn thing was still charging, and I was just sitting there looking at it, just holding it and looking at the charge thing, and I mean, I was like, okay, and I don't know if I was hallucinating or what, but I was like, look at this, like it's still charging. And it, you know, I sometimes ask, I'm like, you did look at the phone, right, to see that it was charging? I think that at that point they were like, okay, this chick is just, and I remember they kept saying that one of my friends kept saying she must have had a hot shot. She must have, you know, somebody gave her some bad stuff. And I was sober. I do remember, okay, and I was hearing that, and I was like, no, I'm sober, but they didn't believe me, and, you know, that, you know, I just kind of let that go. But, yeah, at some point, I fell asleep, and I do believe that this was the first night that I fell asleep, because I remember I woke up to the alarm sound, the cell broadcast warning sounds on everybody's cell phone that was there, and I was covered in a sheet, so they must have covered me up. I don't remember. I really don't. But and then I remember my dog was laying next to me, and I was like, okay, good, because I had this immediate feeling we were underwater. And I was like, we're underwater. We're at the bottom of an ocean. And I was like, the garage is at the bottom of the ocean. And my dog is a dragon, okay? And she's going to morph into this dragon. And I'm going to ride her straight to the top of this water. Because we were all underwater. And as soon as we opened the door, it was just, you know. And I don't know why. I mean, so you can't really say, and my friend tried to say, well, you know, that's because you didn't have any sleep or this and that. And I was like, no, because I just woke up. So that doesn't really make sense why I would think that my dog's a dragon. You know, and maybe you don't know what someone's soul really, you know, maybe she's been a dragon before, you know, you really never know. But my gosh, I thought my dog was a dragon and I was going to ride her. She's just a little chihuahua, so, yeah, okay, so, yeah, woke up and thought she was a dragon. Okay, 22 minutes, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna go ahead, let's see, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end that, you know, I can hear her outside now. But I also thought that my dog was other people as well during this time. I mean, this is when it really, like after this is when my memory kind of just starts going in and out. Like I was there and then I wasn't there, I was there and I wasn't there, and this lasted for 8 days. So what I've just explained was from what I remember of the first day that happened. Now I don't know what that has to do with me asking for the, you know, the prayer that I said, because I hadn't said a prayer in a very long time, and you know, I hadn't asked for that kind of help, you know, from something outside of me other than, you know, other human beings. So I really reached out, and then this person's like, well, what's your number? And then I get the call, and then I get the text, and you know, and then all of that snapped. It's like it's just went boop, and I was like, you know, I've never been the same since. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this there, because what, you know, the next bit of information is, you know, is quite lengthy, and it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be hard. And it, you know, this actually does take a lot of it's bringing up a lot of stuff in me. As I said earlier in my About Me part 4, that, you know, I was just tired, didn't really feel good. You know, it does feel great to get this stuff out, because I've really never explained this to anybody, and I think just reliving it, recounting it kind of puts me in there. It brings up those emotions, and so that's probably another reason why I'm just kind of like, ugh. I'm just gonna, yeah, get some sleep. But yeah, so I'm gonna finish this up tomorrow. I hope that, you know, whoever watches this will come and watch my other part 2 of this. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but thank you for watching, and I am going to go let my dragon dog back in the house. Okay, good night.